Safe streets, vibrant neighborhoods, successful business and commerce. These are things that make a healthy community. We are a diverse community, rural, suburban, urban. A multitude of languages and ethnicities, ages and experiences. We are a collaborative community. Public-private partnerships make us a model community that others want to follow. It is what makes us unique. It is what makes us strong. The employees of Kent County reflect our diversity and seek to serve our communities.
People in this county, in this area, we wrap our arms around each other. We come together to collaborate, to solve problems. We're all working for the good of the whole. And I think that's wonderful. And you can see it. You can see it as you drive around Kent County.
Our impact starts the day a baby is born and a birth certificate is issued, to protecting children from deadly diseases through vaccination, to the public safety and justice provided by law enforcement and the courts, to offering veteran services and caring for the elderly. Every day we work to keep our communities robust.
I think if you are somebody who is interested in serving your community, in building a strong knowledge base and a good group of people to work with, then the county is one of your best employment opportunities out there. It's been completely rewarding in every way I could possibly explain for 26 years, and I feel like I grow every single day still today.
Leading these dedicated employees, our 19-member Board of Commissioners and our County Administrator Controller, along with our elected officials and appointed department directors, placing emphasis on civic involvement, quality housing, vibrant neighborhoods, and strong, solid infrastructure to allow businesses to thrive. Professional, dedicated, collaborative, and innovative.
Behind the scenes, collaboration between foundations, charitable organizations, nonprofits, for-profit businesses, public sector demonstrated through the county, the city of Grand Rapids, the townships, all the cities and the villages in our area. If we don't come together, then we will not have the strength that we have today, and I only hope to build upon that.
Our aim is to make our communities the best they can be. We are involved in exciting development projects, sustainable recycling programs, and creative progressive prevention programming. We partner with elected officials, impacting policy ideas that become great achievements. We seek opportunities to reach out into the community and offer our services to help our residents make Kent County thrive.
Our relationship is solid, both from a staff standpoint at the county level as well as the Board of Commissioners. And they understand what we do and the benefits that we can do for the community, and vice versa. We couldn't do what we do without the help of Kent County.
While most of us are busy running our lives, Kent County's elected officials, administrator controller, and over 1,600 employees are serving the communities where we live our lives, so we can all have a place we are proud to call home. Kent County, its life well run.
All right, it's 8:30. Let's go ahead and get started with the meeting of the Legislative Human Resources Committee. We will start with public comment. If anyone wishes to make public comment to the committee. So, all right, let's move to item number 2, approval of the minutes. Is there a motion to approve?
Moved.
Moved to approve and supported. Any conversation? Not. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. It is approved. Next item on the agenda is a report from Dan Poitek from our friend of the court.
Commissioners.
Morning.
Morning. To present the friend of the court's performance measurement review. I think most of you know something about our office. Just to give you a quick overview, we have 103 employees, over 37,000 cases. Fortunately, they're not all difficult cases. We've identified 10 service areas. We have support enforcement department that you're probably familiar with. We enforce parenting time orders in our parenting time enforcement unit. We enforce medical support obligations, if it's court-ordered obligations for a parent to carry health insurance, or for both of them to contribute towards uninsured health care expenses. We have the Alternative Dispute Resolution Department that handles the referrals from court for custody and parenting time investigations and to make recommendations to the court. and to also handle volunteer mediations between the parents. The order processing department, the customer service department, that's the front line and answers the phones and handles the lobby traffic. Our imaging department scans almost every document that comes into the office onto our on-base system. Payment processing department, the responsible parent program, and our audit department. So we've got quite a lot on our plate to handle all those cases. The presentation overview, as you can see, is in the format you're accustomed to. On this chart at the top, you can see our strategic goals do align with the board priorities. I'll cover each of these in turn during the presentation. I just want to highlight our mission statement: to serve the court and the families of Kent County, to ensure children are supported both financially and emotionally. It's a pretty simple and direct mission statement, but I think there's a lot behind it. Ensuring financial support for children involves more than simply collecting regular support, medical, and child care. It's also through efficient use of resources, streamlining our child support reviews so orders are based on ability to pay. It's being proactive in our enforcement of support orders and implementing innovative ways of gaining compliance. And the key metrics involve the amount of collections and other compliance measures that I'll cover. Ensuring the emotional support of children, that means helping to stabilize child placement through court-referred custody and parenting time investigations and recommendations. This helps contribute towards a safer community. We also enforce parenting time orders so that children have access to both parents. That contributes to a better quality of life for the children. Key metrics here involve how quickly we complete the investigations and resolve the parenting time complaints. We contribute towards stable revenues by maximizing our grant funding and revenue opportunities. We maintain a contract with the Department of Health and Human Services for 4D funding. 4D funding is a fancy term for child support funding. This is a 5-year contract that goes through 2021. This is 66% of our funding to fund child support operations. We also try to maximize federal incentive revenues through child support collections. Last year, we reached $1,092,000 on that. We have medical incentive funding. That's collections on the ordinary medical portion of child support orders. If a parent goes on Medicaid, that portion is assigned to the state. The funding for that was over $179,000 last year. That funds our bench warrant department. We also have access and visitation grant that comes in for $13,000 a year last year to fund supervised parenting time if the court orders that. We promote efficient use of resources by conducting support reviews much quicker than the statutory required 120 days. And we also enter orders quickly onto the MISA system. I wanted to show you a picture of our child support review team on the right and our order processing team on the left. Our objective is to complete 90% of our support reviews within 90 days. That's a self-imposed deadline. Again, the statute gives us 120 after the information is received from the parties. It's important to do reviews quickly because a person's ability to pay may become compromised if they lose a job, or if they gain more income. It's important to get an order implemented that increases the support. Last year, we were 96% successful in completing these support reviews within 90 days. That was 3,659 reviews. It's also important to get the orders entered quickly. We set a goal of 3 business days when we receive a new order to get that in place. Last year, we processed 14,982 orders, and we did 99.91% within 3 days of those. I just wanted to mention our early engagement program. We have a full-time worker who, when they receive a new order on a case, first-time order, that person will call the payer and go over the order with that person, try to engage them, get things off to the right start, see if they have any issues, any barriers to overcome. And this is something new we started last year, and I think it's pretty popular with the payers, especially those who may have been defaulted with the prosecutor's order. They may not even know they have an order. We've even found cases where the child's been placed with the payer. So it's a good thing to reach out early on. That's something newer that we're trying to do, not just waiting for somebody to fall out of compliance and then having a show cause hearing or a bench warrant. We do promote a safe community through our custody and parenting time investigations and recommendations to the court. On this slide, this is our ADR team who handles all those investigations. They have a goal of completing each investigation and recommendation within 90 days. Last year we were 92% successful with that. That's a court-imposed deadline. It's sometimes delayed if we're waiting for information from maybe CPS report or a psych exam. But year to date, through March, we're at 96% in getting those done in 90 days. So doing pretty good there so far this year. That unit also does parenting time enforcement. Last year, we received 1,682 complaints. We processed 669 of those as valid complaints. Most of the time, they resolve those without court action by getting the parents to come in and maybe modifying their order or agreeing on some makeup time. This unit also handles mediations to try to get parents to voluntarily come in and work out issues of parenting time and custody. A lot of people like to know what the breakdown of our recommendations are for custody recommendations. Last year, 33% of the recommendations were joint custody with the mother and father, 17% to be placed with father, 49% with the mother, and 1% would be split custody if you have multiple children. I think it's interesting that 50% of the recommendations are either joint or with father. So, interesting stat, I thought. We encourage citizen participation through our outreaches. Our Responsible Parent Program does a lot of these outreaches, and this is a picture of them in the new RPP center that was set up in 2018 where payers can come in. They can help work on a resume or try to find work. These folks identify cases where the orders probably need to be right sized. Maybe they're charging too high. Maybe the payer has a barrier that needs to be overcome. Perhaps maybe like a felony, prior felony. We need to get them to the right place to find a job. And we also help them navigate through parenting time issues, give them information. We have 24 partner agency partners that we have and 20 employer contacts. Last year, 462 cases were accepted into this program. We try to conduct 3 community outreaches each month. Last year, we did 76, and 631 persons participated. We go to Michigan Works, both at the DHHS building and on State Street. Urban Family Ministries, Strong Fathers, Hispanic Center, Guiding Light Mission, 70x7 Life Recovery, Kent County Correctional Facility Reentry Program, Salvation Army, and Bellamy Creek Prison. And we go other places we're invited to. And our purpose of our outreach is to re-engage, especially with the payers who may be evading us, try to give information to the public if they have questions about our services. Sometimes we'll meet with somebody who has a lot of state-owed arrears, and we're able to help them out if they have an inability to pay. Since 2013, we've discharged $53,968,708. And that's monies that the state said just get rid of if the person isn't able to collect and they've had a relationship with their child. This chart's interesting. The Responsible Parent Program, we measure before they enter the program and after, and there's quite the increase in payments after they've been in this program. To break this chart down further, it doesn't show you, but for arrears-only cases, the payment was only 26% when they started this program. After they completed, 3 months after, it's 60%. For cases with current charges, the payment was only 33% before the program. After the program, 59%. The percentages could be higher, but these are really difficult cases. Payers who probably need a job, or they're underemployed, or they have a felony. So I'm very encouraged by those metrics. We demonstrate proactive and innovative government by systematically identifying cases falling out of compliance and offering help to overcome the barriers. In this slide on the right, we have our caseworkers. In the lower middle, we have some of our clerks, enforcement clerks. On the left bottom, that's our IT department. And the top left, that's our legal department. The legal department does things like reinstate licenses, and they place liens. They help people with their passports, things like that. Our objective in enforcement of support is collect 80% of current charges. That's a federal objective. We hit 76% last year. We do have a standalone system known as Case Tracker, our IT department developed to identify cases falling out of compliance, helping us to research the payer's ability to pay through online sources. We have like a data warehouse where there's federal reporting of new hires. This Case Tracker system has been recognized by the state and is being implemented on the state MISIS system right now. So, it's coming out statewide in June, so we think that's a big deal. When we have a case, we usually try to work it up for enforcement. We don't just schedule a show cause hearing. We try to work the case up. We try to reach out to the payer through letters or emails. And if we do schedule a show cause hearing, we have a pre-hearing interview. We resolve most of those cases without having to go in front of the judge. We ask certain questions about ability to pay. What's their education level? What's their employment history? What's their housing situation? Do they have any substance or abuse problems? We try to figure out overall what's going on with this person, why they can't comply with the court order. And last year we scheduled 9,269 show cause hearings. We like to compare ourselves to the other large counties in the state. This chart shows current collections from our fiscal year, year to date. This is we're second at this point behind Oakland. A lot of that, I think, has to do with demographics with Oakland, but we keep trying to figure out how to improve our current collections. We also measure our collections on arrears-only cases or even current charging cases that have an arrears account. The federal measure is 80%, and this is a cumulative measure throughout the year. Kent County is the first large county to reach 80% and exceed that. We were 80.62 last year. Again, this is a cumulative measure. We're on track to exceed 80% this year. We're at maybe a quarter of a percentage point higher than last year at this time. But it's hard to move that needle. It involves hundreds of cases just to go up a percentage point, but it's each percentage point's worth maybe $3,000 in federal incentives. But we're doing really well in arrears collection. I'm pleased to report our bench warrant department is now fully staffed. Thank you. We added a third sheriff deputy in January and a third arraignment case manager. Those are the folks, the case managers who meet with payers who come into the office, try to resolve their warrant, or they arraign the person in front of the judge. I consider this department a really critical part of our outreach to re-engage non-compliant payers. If a payer doesn't want to engage us, we'll engage them in a respectful and helpful manner and try to resolve their warrant. And that's proved by the metrics. Our goal is 85% to resolve the warrants without arrest. Last year we were at 92%. That involves 750 warrants. And only the front of the court deputies are authorized to resolve these warrants without arrest. If the person's apprehended maybe at a traffic stop by another agency, there's usually no option but to arrest. We try to work with these other agencies. Sometimes they'll call us and say, hey, I got this guy in a traffic stop. He's got an FOC warrant. You want to pick him up? We'll do that. Our deputies are plain clothed, vehicles are unmarked, and they're trained in community policing and de-escalation techniques. They'll go out of their way if there's sometimes the payer doesn't want to come in our office, we'll go out there and collect the monthly payment, even if they don't have a warrant. Try not to do that too often, but they really go out of their way. And this slide here, I think, is interesting. This shows us year to date how we're doing. And I'm really impressed, with this third deputy, how we're doing. This year, so far through March, we've collected over $222,000. Last year at this time, it was $129,803. Right now, we're at 94% resolved without arrest. Last year, we were 88%. We resolved 384 warrants through March. Last year, it was 176. So I really think we're on track to make some really big numbers this year. So I'm quite pleased with this unit. We also contribute towards a high-quality life through excellent customer service. The folks in this slide, these are our customer service reps. These are the ones in the front line who answer all those phone calls and handle the lobby traffic. Their goal is to answer calls within 5 minutes, 75% of the time. We hit that measure last year at 75%. A little lower this year to date, through April 22. I looked at it, it was 69.1%. However, so far for this month of April, we're at 83.5. So the problem with that unit sometimes is staffing. People burn out quickly. They want to be promoted. We promote a lot of people from that department because they have a very solid knowledge of our office. They handle most questions that come through that phone line. There's other ways to communicate with the office. There's a new two-way communication ability on a thing called My Child. That's a secure system set up by the state where people can check on their phones to see what their account balance is or if there's a warrant. But also they can now communicate by email with us. And we just launched that about a month ago. You can reach us by regular mail, through regular email. We had 18,691 emails last year we answered. You can come to the front window in the lobby. We saw 20,749 people last year. We also try to facilitate payments. We don't have to have a payment window, but we can accept cash payments. And a lot of folks do that because they don't want to have to try to send it in to the central collection unit in Lansing. Last year we collected $3,927,000 in cash payments. If you come in at the last day of the month, if it's a business day, you'll see a lot of payers lined up out the door getting that payment in. So it's good to have that window. We also started credit card payments in 2016 in August. We only had $16,959 paid by credit card that year. In 2018, that went up to $497,579. So credit card payment is a good thing. The customer service reps also try to answer 90% of the incoming calls without transferring them. They succeeded 92% of the time last year. They had 86,000 calls without transferring, freeing up the caseworkers to do other things. Again, they're highly trained to answer most questions. Significant budget issues. As part of our contract with MDHHS, we are required now to have performance standards met. On the left of this chart, we have certain standards for review and modification of support orders, locating payers, medical support, and timely enforcement. And on the right, you can see we're meeting those measures. Most of them, well, they're 75% we have to meet for those measures. We're at most of them over 90%. Significant accomplishments. Pretty proud of this one. Our ADR unit came up with this last year in August. Walk-in mediations. I don't think anybody's ever heard of that. It's no cost. Parents can come in. voluntarily on Tuesday mornings or Thursday afternoon, and work out issues of custody, school issues, communicating, co-parent issues, parenting time schedules. When we started this last year, we had 51 walk-in mediations. 78% of those got resolved amicably through stipulated orders. Through March of this year, we're at 28 parents that came in. 82% success rate in reaching agreement with those folks. I think this is the so what question. How does this really tie into the metrics? I think it's important. It creates more stability for children. The quicker parents can resolve their disputes. It's much quicker than a 90-day court referral for investigation. And you know, when parents normally want to mediate, you know, we require them typically in traditional mediation to request that in writing. And that takes time to set up the appointments and all that. It can take 60 days. Now they can just walk in. Another significant accomplishment, and this was something suggested by the task force in 2017, that we have an independent contractor go out into the community, into the urban core, those guys or gals who are eligible for show cause contempt hearing, and see what's going on with them. Kirby Killingham, he's the guy who won the bid, and he's doing a fantastic job for us. Thanks for showing today. This is a pilot project as of February. He goes out, we give him a list every week. He comes in, he gives me his list of those he's had successful contact with. I give him another list to go out and meet some more folks. And his job is to determine their ability to pay. And so a lot of these cases, sometimes they don't have an ability to pay. Like one guy who came in yesterday, he said, this guy's going to jail tomorrow. Well, I'm not going to schedule a show cause hearing, and we'll just keep track, you know, see what's going on. And maybe we'll have to modify that person's support because they can't pay it right now. They're in jail. And we had to clear it to get this program in place. We had to clear this with DHHS and also the Office of Child Support at the state level. Erin Frisch, the director at OCS, she actually weighed in and thought this was a really interesting pilot. And so we're quite pleased with Kirby's performance. How does this matter? Well, I hope this results in fewer show cause hearings. I think the fewer hearings we have, it means the better collections we have, more efficient we'll become. And it's better engagement of the people who are probably not happy to be around us or have us pull them into the show cause hearings. Key collaboration, always with the Citizens Advisory Committee. We work with them. You can see Commissioner Bukowski is there. He's hiding behind Chuck DeWitt in this photo. We had 11 grievances in 2019, and the CAC agreed, I think, with most of our responses, if not all of them. We're also collaborating with State Court Administrator's Office to create a customer satisfaction survey. This chart shows overall average satisfaction. They had asked all the FOC directors if they wanted to do this. Nobody really wanted to do it. The task force recommended that we do this and said, okay, let's do it. So we're putting ourselves out there, and I don't think it's too bad. You know, you've got the benchmark 3 is neutral. We've exceeded that in some areas. A couple areas we want to work on is item D at the bottom, giving useful information. We've been looking at our website, and we're going to outreaches and trying to get better information out to folks. Item F, the way FOC handled their case, whether it's fair or not. I think it might be a little skewed. I remember at the public comment in 2017, a lot of folks came in, they're upset from their court hearings, which really didn't have anything to do with us. You know, they may have been upset with the judge and the decision was made or something like that. So I know if I could dig into those cases, you know, it's an anonymous survey, but if I dug into those, I think that's part of what would skew those numbers. Basically, nobody's thrilled to have an FOC case. Most people don't want to have an FOC case. We understand that. So these questions that go out in the survey, it went out to 3,601 folks with cases. We had the email. We had only 18.5% response, but that is available. I think it's ready. If you want me to forward that on to the commissioner, we can do that. And it's based on procedural justice questions. Even though you don't like that you have a front of the court case, do you feel you were treated fairly? Did you get enough information? Things like that. So you may not like us, but maybe you felt you were treated fairly and you were heard. This next slide is interesting. That's average satisfaction by race and gender. And another key collaboration, we partner with 78x7 Life Recovery. Those folks help payers who have prior felonies find employment. They partner with a lot of felony-friendly employers. Every week, we refer 1 or 2 of our payers to this organization. This slide shows the management team there. The guy in the middle is Ben Rosa. That's the guy I usually deal with. It's interesting. I was reading one of their articles. They indicate a national recidivism rate is 67%. Michigan, it's 28.8% for those who had a felony. 70x7, the rate's 4.6%. So we're very happy to partner with them and hopefully to get payers settled in gainful employment so they can meet the court-ordered obligation. Just to look ahead, I'm going to continue to implement the task force recommendations that were handed to us in August of 2017. The second annual report will be due in August, so we'll get that out to you. So, happy to field any questions.
Thank you, Dan, and welcome, Kirby. Commissioners, any questions? Commissioner Ponstein.
Thank you, Chair Steck. So, when you decide what the amount that a person's going to pay in child support, how is that figured out? Do you take like the last 5 paychecks, tax returns, what they're planning to make the whole year?
We try to get a couple years worth of their tax returns if we can. And child support's based on the child support formula manual the state puts out. You can even go online now, the state put out, where you can crunch your own numbers. A lot of people do that. But we get information from both parents. We try to get their tax information. Sometimes we'll send a questionnaire out to the employer to see what they're earning in their hours. A lot of times, some of the parties won't cooperate with us, and so we have to dig into things, go on data warehouse to see if somebody's been hired someplace, or reach out to their employer to see what they're making.
So you do a recalculation because someone got a new job that pays more.
Sometimes.
When the new rate is set of what they're going to pay, is that going forward or is it retroactive, which then puts a penalty on the person for getting a new job?
Right. It's important that if they have a change in circumstances, they let us know right away. You're entitled by law to a support review every 3 years. If there's a significant change in circumstances, we'll do it sooner, like if somebody's incarcerated. By law, the court can only modify support retroactive to the date a motion was filed with the court and served on the other party. So what we do when we decide to do a support review, we actually file a motion to modify so that if it takes 90 days to do this review, we can go back those 90 days and set the support at the right amount.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Skaggs.
Thank you, Chair, and thanks, Dan, for everything that you and your staff do for the children in Kent County. I mean, that is sort of what it's all about, despite all these statistics. So 2 quick questions from pages 8 and 9 on the bench warrants handled by FOC deputies. So I'm looking at on page 9, the second to last row from the bottom, and it really looks like you're aggressively setting your benchmarks. Let me give you time there. Second from the bottom on page 9.
Got it.
Okay, so it looks to me like you're aggressively increasing 400, 600, 1,000 of the bench warrants to get resolved without arrest. Then I'm looking over at page 8 for the percentage of bench warrants handled without arrest. And it's just staying stagnant at 85%. So again, this is a math question. I know you've hired this 3rd deputy, so the raw number makes sense to me, but I'm confused about the percentage.
Well, we're actually, that's our objective, and that was set by the task force to resolve 85% without arrest. But we exceeded that. We were at 92% last year. I think the year before that was, I think it was 96.
Okay, so, I mean, my suggestion would be to raise it, but you're saying that that's sort of the benchmark that the task force came up with, so you, but
Yes, but we'd have-
internally, you're trying to match these numbers that you'd had in the previous 2 years?
Correct.
Okay, great. And then the second question on page 9, second from the top row. So with those, I'm just trying to place those numbers into context a little bit. How many people were sent to jail total? I'm just trying to get a raw number on how many were released after 2 weeks after making the required payment. which
This is when they're presented at a show cause hearing to the judge. Sometimes the judge will give them a few days to pay, or a warrant will issue. We only had 27 last year actually get lodged by the judge, which is a really low number. I've never seen it that low. I was rather surprised. But they're making a lot of agreements with the payers when they come in. I would say most of the cases, we actually enter a stipulated order and then monitor the case. So it's relatively few that actually go to jail.
Okay, great. So we're seeing a pretty significant decline there from 82 to 61 to 27, and a lot of that is the work that you've been doing in the last couple of years and then the
Correct.
judges. Okay, great. Thanks.
Any other commissioners? Okay, Commissioner Talon.
Thank you, Chair. Morning, Dan.
Morning.
Thanks for your work and that of your staff. I know it's a challenging work, and I appreciate all your efforts. One of the things I've come to appreciate over the years is the importance of what our staff looks like and what they are like and how that compares to the clients that the consumers that we serve. I'm wondering if you've looked at that. I was struck somewhat in some of the photos that some of the departments are all white women, for example. I'm wondering if you've taken a look at that, how your workforce compares ethnically, racially with the clients that you work with.
Well, I had stats a year ago, but yeah, we did look at this. I can get some to you. We've been trying to make our staff much more diverse. I think we've succeeded in that. We've got a ways to go as well. A lot of the folks the new hires from outside are in the customer service area, the phone operators. And so you see from that slide, we have a lot of
Yep.
diversity there. And then we promote a lot of those folks from within. We are one of the health department and the FOC have their own citizens
Advisory committees? Advisory committees.
Yeah, advisory committee where we look at issues of diversity and we try to have events within the office and try to draw people more into that, so.
Appreciate your
It's definitely
attention
on
to
the
that.
radar.
Yeah,
Yes.
thank you.
Dan, I do have a couple of questions I wanted to follow up with. You mentioned that you are up to 33% of your cases go joint custody,
Yes,
the joint physical custody.
joint physical, yes.
So with joint physical custody, does that reduce or increase the demands for services from your office?
Well, if it's joint custody, it means the parents are probably getting along. You know, if they don't get along, probably not going to recommend that. So that would reduce the services
Okay.
quite a bit.
The other thing I looked at is the number of cases filed, that's on page 5. Is there a trend down in the number of cases, support cases?
I think statewide, there is a downward trend. I don't think as many folks are actually asking for child support services. That's what I'm hearing right now. I don't have any specific, but I think there is a downward trend.
Okay. And then the last comment is on the walk-in mediation. Again, congratulations on that. That sounds like an exciting possibility and new idea. Is that being tried anywhere else in the state?
Not that I've heard. No.
Well, we'll watch and see how that goes.
Yeah, we had the state court administrator's office in their newsletter, The Pundit, in March. They came out with an article on us, so
Good,
It's quite new.
good. Congratulations on that. If nothing else, thank you, Dan.
Thank you much.
All right, next item 4, Becky Beckler. Did she just, oh, there she is. Public Affairs Associates Legislative Update.
Well, fresh off our spring legislative breakfast, we were able to get some insight as to what the Senate and the House are thinking as we head into what we hope to be the final 2 months of the legislative process. Both the House and the Senate are preparing to move their budgets. The Senate's moving a little bit quicker. This week, I think you will see most, if not all, of the budget come out of the Senate subcommittees into the Senate appropriations. Senator Jim Thomas plans then to have 2 to 3 hearings on all of those budgets and then move them to the full Senate. That will be the Senate's vision of the governor's proposed 2019-2020 budget. It will be a pretty tight budget. I think you'll see a lot of items with nominal amounts of money just to simply indicate here are the Senate priorities, but not yet funding all of them. You will not see the governor's tax, gas tax included. You will probably not see from the Senate the corporate income tax proposal. So there's some clear differences of opinion as we move forward. In the House, they're about a 2-week lag. They plan to move out their budgets the last week of April, first week of May, and then move them to the full appropriations process. So we have the opportunity to now put some meat on the bone, if you will, and see where the priorities are and whether we have some concerns. We were able to get a little bit of insight yesterday. Senator Eric Nesbitt indicated that he chairs the Licensing and Regulation Subcommittee, and he plans to fully fund the Indigent Defense Line, so I think that was good news that that's a focus of his attention. Representative Mark Huizenga over in the House, who chairs the General Government, talked about his priority being revenue sharing and wanting to make sure that those revenue increases are consistent. Didn't commit to the 3% that Governor Whitmer has proposed, but did want to share with us that it is a priority for increases on the local government level. I think that was important and key. Senator McGregor, who chairs the Health and Human Services budget, talked about his priorities, and one of them was an increased funding for local public health departments. That's consistent. Last year, he was able to find additional funding for local public health departments, and he plans to continue to do that in this year's budget. But we should have more detail by the end of the week. We'll continue to watch those issues as well as PFAS and lead funding to see how they align with the county priorities. Another issue that the legislature plans to deal with is raise the age. It's something that we had some conversation with yesterday. It's been discussed in many legislative environments, and it looks like now we're almost to the finish line. Both the House and the Senate plan to take up their versions on the Senate and House floor this week. They are similar. Both the House and the Senate have decided they have selected the 100% reimbursement funding mechanism. This proposal starts in 2021. There is one issue that we continue to look at is that in 2023 they're going to shift from that 100% funding and move into the appropriations process for funding. They are hopeful that the data received from those first 2 years of the program will be enough to come up with what is the appropriate funding. It's somewhat concerning to counties because it puts us in a situation where every year we are looking for funding. We're hoping that they will agree to some type of formula so that we're not subject to perhaps ups and downs each year depending on where the state is in their budget process, but a more even keel formula. So we have a lot of work to do. Both the House and Senate members have our amendment. I know Mac has been working with leadership, and we've worked with our county delegation, so that will be a priority this week to see if we can get some changes to that legislation. But that appears to be moving, and probably will see the finish line and head to the governor fairly soon. It's a priority for both chambers. We're one of 4 states now that have not made this move. Both chambers have indicated they do not intend to be the last state in the country to do this, so it's kind of a race to the end and not be at the bottom, so we'll continue to monitor that. An issue that both the House and the Senate dealt with very early, and then set on the House and Senate floor, is civil asset forfeiture. That's the issue of legislation that would allow, until there's a conviction or a guilty plea, the police are not able to take personal property under $50,000. That's been talked about for years. We finally have an agreement, and most of it was regarding bill sponsors. So Senator Lucido, Representative LeGrand, and Representative Wentworth will be those sponsors. The final passage will happen this week and then on to the governor. It's bipartisan and bicameral, 2 issues that this governor is requesting of any package, so it looks like that is an issue also that's well on its way to be completed. Other than the budget and the raise the age, those are really the two priorities right now that we're watching for the county for the next week and a half. I would be happy to answer any questions anyone might have.
Thank you, Becky. Commissioners? Yes, Commissioner Skaggs.
Thank you, Chair. So Becky, the amendment for raise the age, that's the same one that MAC is pushing around? Okay, great, thanks.
Commissioner Talon?
I'm not familiar with that amendment. I wondered if we could get a little more information about that. I wanted to express concern about to me, it feels like almost a poison pill, the idea of going to appropriations every year for that percentage. That's huge. It doesn't feel like a minor snag to me. So can you talk more about the amendment?
We'll get a copy of that. What we're asking for is somewhat of a formula that would be at least, so we have some structure around what our asks are versus counties submit to the state their bills, but yet we have to wait for funding. And if it's out appropriations, we know how that goes. Good years when we have money, there's a little bit more there. So we're asking for somewhat about a formula. We'll get you the copy of that. We're struggling with finding some support from the leadership, but we'll continue to work with our legislative leaders to see if we can get enough votes to make that happen.
Anyone else? So Becky, just a question. Yesterday, the 900-pound gorilla in the room was the gas tax, and I don't think it even came up. What's your sense of where that's headed?
That's an excellent question, and it's a question that I think legislators, especially on the Republican side, seem to shy away from. The House Republicans have indicated for several weeks that they intend to offer an alternative. They have yet to put that on the table. The Senate leadership has, quite frankly, been in several different directions as far as where they want to, some of them want to find it out of the current existing budget. We've all seen how that works. This is a pretty tight budget anyway. But no one has really committed to anything or offered an alternative, to be honest with you. Both sides have said that they will. I do not anticipate either chamber to include any type of a gas tax in this equation that they plan on moving. The governor has been pretty clear that she is wanting funding for roads, that if they have an alternative that's viable that gets to $2.5 billion, she's clearly open to that. So far, no one has done that. She's also indicated her willingness to veto a budget until she gets that. So that plays into a very long summer because we're already at the end of April. Budgets are slowly moving, and there has been no conversation about the governor's #1 priority in this budget.
Be an interesting summer. Any other questions? All right, none. Thank you, Becky. Appreciate it. All right, let's move to item number 5, Administrator's Office for the Office Reorganization Report. And
Yes.
Wayman, you're going to make that.
Yes, this is a
presentation.
request to the board to convert a full-time assistant county administrator position and part-time senior administrative specialist position to full-time senior administrative specialist and performance management manager positions. The county administrator is requesting to convert a full-time assistant county administrator position and part-time senior administrative specialist position to full-time senior administrative specialists and full-time performance management manager position. The conversion of the senior administrative specialist from part-time to full-time will allow for additional executive administrative support for the county administrator, controller, as well as the board of commissioners. The new strategy and performance manager position will support the execution of the county's strategic plan and will be responsible for the deployment of the county's performance management system. They will lead the performance measurement review process and will help ensure execution of the countywide initiatives by providing project management, support, and expertise. The impact of the associated staffing changes is cost neutral and will increase the capacity needed to achieve the county's strategic priorities.
So moved.
Motion and to support, or to approve, support? Thank you. Conversation, questions? Yes, Commissioner Talbot.
I would just like to say that this is kind of exciting. I've been offering suggestions, I think, for quite a few years about performance management, and we've continued to move along, but for me, from my perspective, this moves us to a new level. I'm kind of curious. I haven't done the research, but I wonder whether anybody else is doing this, whether other counties actually care enough about those performance measures to do this type of thing, whether we've been able to find any models. But I really appreciate the emphasis on that.
Could comment on that just briefly. Within the state of Michigan, there probably isn't one position specifically for this, but throughout the country there are. In Maricopa County in Arizona, in Fairfax County, Virginia, and other places we've looked at. They have similar positions. So we think that this position is well overdue, and like you say, it gives us the latitude to really support not only the commissioner's intent related to performance and accountability, but also to support the department directors in the initiatives that they often find not enough time, not enough skill set to be able to pull things off. And as you all know, as budgets shrink, the importance of having good due diligence and proactive leadership and so forth is critically important. And the office has done a pretty decent job over the years with the assistant administrator in the position that I held for years. That was my responsibility primarily. And now Matthew, of course, has stepped into that. But with all of the projects that we are faced with, things that we'd like to improve, whether that be improving a parks administration plan or improving infrastructure and so forth, it really requires a lot more hands on deck to get things done. And we have a philosophy of really wanting to improve and execute at a high level, and so this is what this will provide for us. So I appreciate the comments and sentiments. Foregoing the administrative support, the leadership, my philosophy is that if we can grow that within our current host of leaders within the organization. Every employee, in my opinion, is a leader in their own right, and that if they take their job seriously and are empowered, they can help us achieve our mission. So that's my philosophy with that. And of course, ultimately our job is to empower the Board of Commissioners to make sure that you're provided the support that you need to lead. So this is the philosophy that we've landed on, and hopefully we'll achieve that.
I join Commissioner Talon in acknowledging you for this. This is an exciting opportunity. I also want to acknowledge you for the formula of going from one part-time and one full-time to two full-time and having it cost us less. That's an amazing formula, and maybe you can replicate that. Just kidding. All right, any other questions or comments? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is approved. All right, item number 6, appointment to the Pension Board and the Oversight Policy Board.
This is a request to recommend to the Board of Commissioners to appoint James Laramie to the position to the Pension Board to fill an unexpired 3-year term ending December 31, 2019, and Commissioner Stan Ponsing to the Lakeshore Regional Entity Oversight Policy Board to fill an unexpired 3-year term ending December 31, 2019. A citizen's vacancy recently occurred on the Pension Board to a recent resignation. Solicitation of applicants to fill the vacancy was posted on WW Access Kent, and an interview team consisting of Commissioners Stan Stack, Stan Ponstein, and Betsy Melton was appointed to review applications and interview qualified candidates for the vacancy. The interview team is recommending the appointment of James Laramie to fill the unexpired term on the Pension Board. In addition, due to a recent vacancy on the Lakeshore Regional Entity Oversight Policy Board, Commissioner Stan Ponstein is recommended to fill the unexpired term ending December 31, 2019.
Is there a motion to approve? Moved, supported?
Support.
And supported. Questions? Yes, Commissioner Tell.
Apologize for not asking this previously, but the LRE Oversight Policy Board, is that the LRE's main board that you sit on? Or?
No, this is
Substance
the
use?
Oversight Policy Board that is responsible for evaluating the substance use dollar allocation.
I was looking for substance use and didn't see it in any of the terminology here, so thank you.
And Commissioner Ponstein was willing to agree to serve on that board, so thank you for that. No other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It is approved. Item number 7, creation of 2 full-time sanitarian positions.
Yes, this is a request to fill 2 full-time sanitary positions in the Health Department as recommended in the Kent County Lead Task Force recommendations. The county's Lead Task Force issued its report in December 2017. As part of the report, the county's Community Health Advisory Committee was tasked with developing plans to implement solutions to the task force recommendations. To address the task force recommendations of risk identification and elimination of household lead exposure, the addition of the 2 sanitarian positions is recommended. The sanitarians will provide elevated blood level investigations, including combined paint inspections and risk assessments, as well as clearance examinations for several homes throughout Kent County. The Health Department is requesting to add two full-time sanitary positions to perform the needed investigations of high-risk homes with a total annual cost of salary and benefits of $153,000. Proposed fiscal year 2019 cost, assuming a June 1, 2019 hire date, would be $51,000, including salary and benefits. In addition to the salary and benefit costs, operating costs for water testing, affidavits, training supplies, postage, and the purchase of an additional XRF equipment are needed in the amount of $35,000 for fiscal year 2019. The cost of the positions and the operating cost of $86,000 will be funded by the general fund previously appropriated to the 2018-19 health fund budget via Board Resolution 927-1883 for emerging issues.
Is there a motion to approve this resolution? Moved and supported? And supported. Questions? We'll start with you, Commissioner Coleman.
Thank you, Chair. 2 quick questions. One, I would just like to understand, so the 87,000 is coming out of an emerging issues health department line item. What percentage of that budget are we consuming with that? And then secondly, just do we have the management, we're not going to overload any management staff by adding 2 people under somebody that's already fully tasked?
Adam London is here to respond to your questions.
Good morning, Commissioners. That's about 50% of this year's funding in the emerging issues line. And no, we think that we can
Great, thank you.
Commissioner Skaggs, did you have a question?
Yes, I did. Thank you, Chair. So I guess let me just tag off of Commissioner Coleman. So you say 50% in the emerging issues. Are there any thoughts on if we're going to use the other 50% and what that might be used for?
difficult to foresee. Certainly with measles and opioids and all kinds of things in the news, it's hard to predict what tomorrow's news might bring. Generally, we don't spend more than about 10% of that fund. However, I've had conversations with Wayman, and I think the community should be assured that if there is a true public health emergency, that we need more than what's left in that fund, that we, working with you, will assure that the public's health and safety needs are met.
Well, that's great. I certainly appreciate your aggressiveness on that, as well as the administration. So one question, again, math. If my math is correct here, then, and each of these sanitarians will be able to do 30 to 40 houses annually, and we have 433 houses, then in a little over 6 years, hopefully they'll have completed their work. Again, I know this is a budget item for 1 year, but, you know, what are is the hope that they can accomplish this in 6 years, and then we would remove this from from further consideration if you're thinking about a long 5-6 year plan? Or would they move on to the next set of houses that need to, be aggressively looked at?
So we actually have one sanitarian who's already in this field, so we'll have a total of 3 if this is approved. And we also recognize there are more homes that are added to the back of that queue all of the time. So I believe they're going to have work to do for well beyond 5 years. We also have a number of other homes in the community that are high-risk properties because of their age and where they're located. That if we're fortunate enough to exhaust the list of homes that we know have been related to multiple cases of elevated blood lead levels, that we have others that we can start to approach and work collaboratively with homeowners to identify what other risk factors might be in those high-risk homes as well. Along with working in close partnership with our early childhood, our maternal and infant health programs, so that we can get proactive with families that don't have an EBL yet in their family, to identify risks that might be present in their homes so they can plan for how to reduce those risks going forward.
Thanks, Adam.
Commissioner Tallon?
Thank you, Chair. I'm doing my best to not jump up and down for joy right now about these 2 positions.
You're doing a good job.
The area that I represent, the district that I represent, includes about half of the 49507 zip code. This is a significant issue of lead paint poisoning, and it is just a joy to see us continue to move forward on addressing it. So thank you, and I look forward to great results.
So, Adam, I do have a question. As we add 2 more inspectors to go out there, they're not doing remediation, they're not doing the actual elimination of the issue. They're identifying them. So what happens on the backside of that as they begin to assess and identify? Aren't they simply going to create a bigger backlog for something else to happen?
I hope so.
And what's the something else?
Yeah, and so there are resources that we currently have in partnership with the City of Grand Rapids to remediate and abate about 50 homes a year. Right now, we're finding that those funds aren't being used as much as they should be. They're not being exhausted because people aren't learning about the risk that they may have in their homes. So using the resources that we already have is a priority, and then by identifying how much larger the issue is and what kind of a gap we have, we think is important in order to really name the problem with some quantity and to be able to ask for and develop the sort of resources to identify those properties as well. We also think it's important for the most at-risk people in our community to know what the risks in their home are, because there are things short of full abatement that people can do in the home to reduce their risks. Maybe it's as simple as moving furniture around, changing how they clean in the home, changing their behaviors in the home. Those are temporary things that can be done to reduce risk as well, but they're things that really can't be exercised until people know where the risks are in their home.
Have we measured how much it's going to take to actually resolve the risk?
Well,
and how short of that are we?
We are enormously short of that. If we have 70 to 80,000 homes that were built before 1978 in our community, and it's estimated that each of those homes takes about $20,000 to $25,000 in abatement to remove the risk, that's a number that no entity has no earthly entity has the ability to solve. So we recognize that we can't abate our way out of this problem. We need to have abatement plus education, plus looking at how do we encourage the development of more housing, more safe housing in the community to reduce the stress on the most vulnerable families, create options, and hopefully create some pressures on those people who are owning and leasing these highest risk properties to improve their properties voluntarily.
Moving in the right direction. Any other questions? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, the same. Resolution is approved. Thank you, Ed. Miscellaneous. Anyone have any comments on miscellaneous? secret is to go to 9:30 and the miscellaneous disappear. Just one comment I raised, the federal priorities issue, which has been out there, and we've looked at that. You'll see that that is not on the agenda today. We will be moving forward with a work session. We'll notify that out as to when we get that set. A number of issues on some of those that do require some further conversation, so stay tuned. We'll get you notice of that. If there is nothing else, we are adjourned.
I am Kent County. I am Kent County.
I am Kent County.
We are 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 Kent County.
Peya, Kent County. Ami, Kent County.
Somos Kent County.
Mas Ira, Kent County.
We are Kent County. We are Kent County. We are Kent County. Oh yeah.